everybody, and welcome to Original versus Remake. And this time, as voted on by you guys, we're doing another Patrick Swayze film and its remake because they just must love to remake Patrick Swayze films. But today we're talking about Roadhouse.
Yes, and I can't help but think of Peter Griffin every time this movie comes up. Him driving his car with his feet, just kicking the steering wheel. You're saying Roadhouse every time.
Roadhouse. Roadhouse.
And what's the payoff to that?
Nothing.
Ghost.
Ghost.
Yes, that too.
Which is just
but yeah, this was a one that we let you guys vote on, and I was actually happy this one won. I know we have a lot that we can cover with this series. That's why we kind of keep doing one that we really wanted to do and then doing the poll and to let you guys pick one. But this one I was pretty excited about because we touched base about it very briefly before we came on here, and I haven't seen this in probably over 15 years.
Oh, wow, that's crazy. Yeah, this is one of my favorite. I watch this every year in the 4K from Vinegar Syndrome. It's one of my favorites. So the original one, it's one I always revisit. I really like Patrick Swayze, if you haven't noticed, with this and Point Break and Ghost. Like, I really like those movies. So Roadhouse always spoke to me, even though I know it's it's not one of those movies that's ever going to get nominated for an award.
Yeah, I mean, also, just before we dive into the movies, can we just acknowledge the fact that for some reason around this time period, I love Patrick Swayze too. I think he's awesome in everything he does. But anyone in Hollywood who had just an absolutely ridiculous script was like, call Patrick, he'll do it.
Because he does it seriously. Like, this character should not be taken this seriously.
Yeah, like, think about what he's done. Dirty Dancing, he's just some guy who teaches people how to dance at a country club over the summer. This, he's a world-renowned bouncer. He's a bank-robbing surfer. Like, what? He's dead in one of them.
Yeah, he's actually dead, and he's got to solve the crime while dead.
Yeah. So just get that out of the way. He did get cast in some odd roles, but to be fair to him, he pulls them all off, especially this one. I feel like this might be, and I know you probably don't agree, but this might be my favorite Patrick Swayze film.
Actually, this is my I'll still put this above Point Break because this movie, all the way through and through, I'm entertained completely, and a lot of it's his heavy lifting that he's doing. It's really on his shoulders right from the time we open this movie, which is one of my favorite opening scenes because it's ridiculous and it just proves the point of, like, this is a Western. That's all it is. It's a Western that takes place in 1989. It's not anything that's supposed to be like anything that takes place in the real world be taken seriously, because there's just no goddamn way. Like, this guy is the best bouncer in America. He says it's Wade Garrett, but he's like, no, Wade Garrett's getting a little old. He's like, I want you. He's like, fine, all right, then you pay all my medical expenses and $500 a night. And he's like, all right, well, I got your plane ticket right here. He's like, I don't fly. Too dangerous. That whole scene is so insane that just to take it seriously out of the gate, like this, and then he quits. He's like, I'm out of here. Well, that's great. And then he's just gonna go over and save the double deuce.
The guy, he's like, hey, by the way, the bar's yours. What are you talking about? I'm out of here.
Well, he says, when I finish the job, I leave. It's like a Western. Like, rides in the town. Once it's done, he's gone. He's got to go to the next town.
That's it. And that's what I mean. It's a ridiculous premise. Like, the thought that there are these people in the world that are just world-renowned bouncers and what they call them, coolers, right?
Yeah,
like,
coolers.
Cooler. But listen, this movie, if we're being honest, is just bar rescue if John Taffer fought everybody.
But he saves the entire town. It starts out as just saving the double deuce, but it turns out that Brad Wisley's got the whole town underneath him. That's it. He's taking everything over. He takes 10% from everyone.
Well, also call it the right name in honor of our boy Sam Elliott, okay? It's not the double deuce. It's the double douche.
The double douche. You're right. Which we had a conversation about Sam Elliott last week about, like, being, plays these tough guys, but he's like a hippie in real life. I think this is like a combination of, like, his personalities because he's tough, but he's like calling him Miho and everything.
Yeah, but you know what? It's a great role for him. I think he fits it so well because it does kind of toe that line where he's not just, like a Southern cowboy kind of thing. And he's not just a hippie. He's kind of like he's that street smart Western tough guy who's chill though. Like he's seen a lot and he doesn't feel like he needs to be over the top. And he tells Patrick Swayze too, like you've taught me as much as I've taught you, and you don't have to do this, and like be smart about it. And he's a very smooth guy throughout. I think he's one of the best characters in the film. Like Patrick Swayze obviously carries it, but I think Sam Elliott's performance as his right hand and like best friend, almost father figure, I guess you could say, really does push it to another level.
Yeah, exactly. And you could tell both Patrick Swayze's smart. He's got a degree from NYU and in philosophy, and you can tell he's quite the philosophizer in this movie. Like the way, and and Sam Elliott clearly has that in him too. Like in this movie, he's got this outlook on life as well. Like even like he could easily just take the guy and throw him out of the bar when he's getting too drunk and like reaching for the woman. He runs over and just like, hey, why don't you take a break real quick, buddy? And like it sits the soldier back down. Like could have just threw him right out, but he's like, yeah, we'll calm it down easily first. Like, basically, when we see with Dalton, just be nice. It's the same exact philosophy. Like we don't have to be aggressive. Let's try and settle it the calm way first.
Yeah, which I like that. I think that's the interesting thing too, right? Because a lot of movies, and I think that's where action movies kind of fall short for me. They're so macho and so just like, I'm bigger than you, I'm stronger than you, I cannot fight you. But here you have a guy who the running joke is always when everyone meets him for the first time, I thought you'd be bigger. And it's like, well, it's not necessarily about that, And when he first comes into the Double Deuce, he's like, listen, guys, here are my rules. Be nice. Just be nice. Always take everyone outside the bar. Get them outside. And you even see in that first scene where he's like, come on, the guy's like, I want to take you. I want to take you. I think I can beat you. He's like, great, let's step outside and fight. And then he just shuts the door. Like he avoids the fight completely and gets the guy out of the bar, which is just such an elite move. Whereas most guys would just be like, all right, here we go. It's time to brawl. And he obviously cleans up shop right away when first thing he does is fire Terry Funk.
I love that. I'm saying how Terry Funk in this movie is big.
Dude, it was funny. Like when I first watched it and the first scene you see him fighting, I'm like, that guy looks a lot like Terry Funk. But no way, he's giant. And the more he spoke and the more he did, I was like, I really think that's Terry Funk. To the point where I Googled it and it said Terry Funk. I was like, son of a bitch, it's Terry Funk.
He had so much weight on him. Like I'm used to like the skinny 90s Terry Funk, but this guy's like, he's a heavy boy and he's got the longer hair. But yeah, 100% when you hear his voice, it's like nobody else talks like that.
Yeah. And I think that was funny. He comes in and obviously cleans house. First one to go is Terry, and then he starts, firing everyone else. You're skimming from the till and all that. And that's, then you start to dive into the actual plot. He fires the wrong guy because it's like the nephew of the guy who runs the town. And it dives into the like you said, it's funny to me. This is a combination of like an homage to Westerns and Kung Fu because the fight scenes are so like karate movies.
Oh, that's a good point. I never actually put that together because I was so concentrated on the whole Western aspect, but it's really a lot of hand-to-hand combat, not really guns until the very end of the movie.
Yeah, it's very karate, very like Bruce Lee kind of movies where, it's like their hands are always like this and they're always doing spin kicks and jump kicks and it's very
throat rips.
Yeah, very karate oriented choreography for the fight. So it is funny. It's one of those like almost like Kill Bill is very Western, but like dives super into that karate thing. This is kind of almost like a prelude to that where everything is so Western. Like Drifter comes into town to clean up the town. But every fight scene, I think they really, really drew heavy on the inspiration from more of the karate movies of the past.
Yeah, 100%, because those fight scenes are just too clean looking. And I mean, him outside doing the yoga and everything, which, by the way, I'm watching the movie and I'm like, I wonder if that actually, because getting a little older, body gets a little tighter. When you start moving around like that, it definitely loosens things up. So I get why he does it. Makes a lot of sense because I'm like, what the fuck is with this guy? But and also not just him, but the guy who lets him live in his loft. Like, he's like, I gotta charge you something. I'm like, that's $1,000 apartment right there. I don't care if it's at the bottom of a barn. Like he's got all the amenities. It's just no air conditioner or anything.
Yeah, and doesn't he say like, how about $100 a month?
A month, I know.
And Patrick Swayze thinks about it for a second. He sits there and he's like, that's fine. And then the guy's even like, can you afford it? Dude, I'll take it. In a minute. Right now, if someone said I could have that, you have yourself a deal.
Well, that's one of the things. This guy has no idea who he is either when he finds the Mercedes, which is another thing that just makes no goddamn sense to me. Why he's driving around in a woman's vehicle like it's the hottest car in the world.
Yeah, I guess that part also doesn't like overly follow his character arc either, because if you think about it, he's so like anti-materialist, like he doesn't care about any of that stuff. Even in the beginning when he leaves town, he pulls the car up, throws the keys to that guy on the side of the road, and is like, it's yours, bud, keep it, and just leaves the car behind. Like he seems to not really care about any of that stuff, yet his prized possession is a Mercedes.
It's not even a nice Mercedes, Dennis. It's like literally like a housewife's Mercedes. That's what drives me nuts. And they make fun of this in the movie MacGruber because MacGruber does the same thing, like pulling the thing off his car, and it turns out to be a little red Miata. It's basically the same thing.
That is true. Yeah, I will say that part was a little weird. And he's like ripping around on it. But he does also absolutely destroy that thing at the end of this film.
Oh yeah, which awesome, by the way. I don't know how accurate that is if you can get the knife in there perfectly like that. I mean, they destroy a lot of things in this film. And one guy's just driving around in Bigfoot, by the way, in the neighborhood.
That is true. Yeah.
And then destroys a Ford dealership. Like, I feel like that'd be like headline news. Like, oh, a guy drove a monster truck through a Ford dealership. It's like, it's just a joke. Oh, you got insurance, don't you? In front of the whole town.
Yeah, and no one cares. And that's actually when I was watching this, my wife came home when I was in the middle of it, and she was like, why don't they just call the cops? I'm like, they sort of half mentioned it, like, the cops don't do their job around here. And then that's been it. The cops never show up to anything. Like,
never.
The businesses explode. There are literally bombs that go off in this town. And the only people who come are the firemen. Yeah,
the cops are like, no, the firemen are taking care of it. They're saying we should do an investigation, boss. What do they know?
Yeah, it was. That's where it gets a little, silly. And also the head bad guy in this movie.
Oh, I love Brad Wesley, played by Ben Gazzara. Great actor, by the way, but he turns it up to 10.
He literally is. I forget. Oh, when we were doing the other one we just did, the Cape Fear, and we're like, oh, the Southern lawyers with the all white suits and all that. That's this guy. He's every scene. He's pretty much an all white, or it's guaranteed white linen pants with something tucked into it.
Except for when he's on his quad. But even when he's on his quad, he's got those fucking gloves on. Like rich guy gloves on.
Yeah, it's insane. Like he's such a insane stereotype of a Southern wealthy man. He plays the role really well. And obviously, as we learn, the Double Deuce is in trouble because, like you said in the beginning, he runs everything. He's basically like a small town mobster where he it extorts every business. Pay me 10% and nothing bad will happen to your business. And he claims, he gets away with it because he claims it's for, like the small town fund or something where it's actually helping the town, improve and whatever. But really, it's to fund his wealthy lifestyle. And anyone who crosses him, as we find out, the hardware store guy or the mechanic, the Ford dealership, as soon as you start chinsing on him, he sends his goons in to drive monster trucks through your business.
Which is just insane. Again, nothing happens to his henchmen or anything like that. Unless, they piss him off. He beats the shit out of one of them right in front of everybody, which is just making an example out of him. Come on, help him up.
Yeah, it is funny. Some of the scenes are hilarious too, where he says to him, he's like, you know what? I like you. And then just punches him right in the face.
Exactly. He plays this. He must have been like, this script's ridiculous. I'm having some fun with this one because it looks like there's lines, like one of my favorite lines in film history, I told you, is in this movie. I used to fuck guys like you in prison.
Dude, some of these lines, there was another one. I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was the guy that Patrick Swayze is renting the barn from, and he asked him something, or maybe I don't remember who it was, but he asked him a question, and he was like, does a model horse have a wooden dick?
I'm like, who puts the dick on? Like, well, even like when the one guy he fires him, he doesn't really fire him from skimming from the top or breaking the law. It's just that when he's on break, he's fucking the girl in the back room, and he's like telling the girl, he's like, I'm going to thinking about making you my regular Saturday night thing. And then Patrick Swayze just comes in and fires him. He's like, I'm on my break. I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah, he's like, I'm on my break. And Patrick Swayze is like, you could stay on it. And then just closes the door.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. Also, when Sam Elliott first shows up and the guy's like, "You want to fight, dickless?" And he's like, "Well, I'm not going to show you my dick."
That's a ridiculous scene too, when they're just fighting out back and Emily just jumps in there like it's a tag match.
Yeah, Patrick Swayze's literally held up by two guys, getting his ass kicked by a third, and Sam Elliott looks up and he's like, "How's it going, Eho?" Like, pretty well, I guess. I'm getting my ass kicked right now. There's a lot of that, like it. But you know what? It's one of those like really good movies. If you just turn your brain off, just go in to have a good time, because it really is like genuinely the progression does make sense. He's training the other bouncers, and he is doing like stuff he's doing makes sense. It's not like he just comes in and all of a sudden, he's like a Jedi master brainwashing everyone. He's teaching them. He's taking them along the way. He's doing a lot of good things. And then it becomes more obviously than just fixing a bar. Like you said, it's helping this town. And I mean, along the way, a lot of really great stuff, but that ending, that last fight in the house,
it's crazy. It's unbelievable, especially since the one guy just literally gets knocked out by a bear, which, it's falling forever. He could have moved at any time. Like, that's what knocks him out completely. But all this stuff, I mean, the way they kill him and like how everyone keeps walking in the room like one by one and shoots him until he finally gets blown away through the table. It's perfect. It is the perfect ending. I didn't see anything. Did you see anything? Nope. Does anyone? I mean, you guys are still in his house. We got to ask some questions here.
Yeah. And then they asked the other guy, "Did you see anything?" He's like, a polar bear fell on me. Just all around though, like I said, fun movie to watch. The original, obviously, start to finish, very fun. There's something about these kind of ridiculous storylines that just fits in the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah.
Like, once you slap a lot of gloss on them and everything, it does change it. Like the gritty way it's shot, the film is older, and the way that everything was done was very practical. Which, like, of course, listen, when you punch someone, it doesn't make the noise that they make in the movie. But like, everything is done practically. The fight scenes are choreographed insanely well. There's no CGI in it, and I think because it's from the 80s and 90s, that kind of grittiness fits so well. So I think it really overall is it's a good movie.
Yeah, bars like this were like around in the 80s, which I'm just quick calling. I love that the Jeff Healey band's in this movie. I don't know if you knew who they were. The blind guy who sings. Real band. Yeah, real band. They sang. I'll actually send you the song Angel. I think it's called Angel Heart or Angel Eyes, but great song.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, very surprising.
When he that's another thing my wife saw. She was like, "Why is he holding a guitar like that?" I was like, "Oh, he's blind." She's like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense."
Yeah, he can't really see. I'm like, why would they put this guy? I felt bad for him at the beginning where they're like throwing the things at him. I'm like, he's blind. He has no idea you're throwing bottles at him and breaking glass on him.
Yeah. No, but I think he was another good role too. He's kind of like, even though he's not old, he's like the old wise man of the town. Like, oh, rumor is, be careful of this guy, that guy,
Yeah, everyone's just playing a Western character. Just it's 1989. You can leave if you want. You have a car. Like, you don't have to stay here.
Yeah. But I think it was again, great movie. And then obviously, I think it was, I don't know about you, but I was very surprised when it was announced that it was being remade.
So was I. It just didn't really make a lot of sense. Like, it's a beloved like 80s cult classic. This isn't a movie that like was a huge financial success. It's like just known because of how funny like it is and Patrick Swayze's movies and like entertaining. But like we said, it wasn't like an award nominated film from the 80s. And 1989, it's long ago, but it's not that long ago to where it's like, oh, we need to remake this movie. But Doug Liman came along and got Jake Gyllenhaal to do it, and here we are. We got a remake for Roadhouse, which, yeah, very unexpected.
Yeah, and it's, again, I think, question that will be asked every single time we do this is, do you make a shot-for-shot remake or do you do a retelling? And I think they went retelling, paying homage with a couple different things, a couple lines and things like that. But it is a very, very different movie.
Yeah, they definitely tried to like take this, like what you were just saying, like how this kind of movie only could fit in the 80s or 90s. It's like, well, we can't do that now because people would ask too many questions, I think. So they put it in the sense that the bar itself in this one, it's just called the Roadhouse. It's not the Double Deuce anymore, which is a nice little wink and a nod. I get that. And it's in the Florida Keys, so we know exactly where it is. And the Florida Keys in real life, from what I've been told, because I've never been, is kind of like the Wild West anyway, where it's like almost like Cuba. It's kind of like its own entity. So like things like that happen in this movie can kind of happen. So like I see what they're doing. He's a UFC fighter. He's not an actual like bouncer, like because that makes no sense. But if it makes sense if he's like a retired UFC fighter where something went wrong. So I like the setup for the movie makes a lot more logical sense. But then it still does kind of go into like, okay, that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is, a couple of the callbacks were, obviously when he gets stabbed instead of sliced, and when he meets the doctor, she says, do you ever win? And he says, no one ever wins a fight. When the first big, bully guy comes in the bar, he says it's like a Morgan here. That was clearly a reference to the beginning. Even a subtle thing too, like in the original, Patrick Swayze goes to the doctor and he's got his medical records on him. And Jake Gyllenhaal travels with a medic kit on him all the time. So like it's not his records, but he has that first aid kit with him constantly. So I think that's even a little homage to, it's not exactly the medical files, but he does have something on that side with him all the time,
Yeah, he's able to do exactly what Patrick Swayze does. Like, in the beginning of it, he's stitching up his arm. And this one, he's able to do the same thing. Jake Gyllenhaal, he's got a knife in him, and that's what scares everybody off. Like, oh, he's not even reacting to a knife being him. He just pulls it out, stitches it up while he's talking to the girl Frankie, who's like, yeah, I was here for him, but I think I want you. And then just like in the other one, where instead of saying no, Wade Garrett's the best, like you should get him, he's like, no, you should go get him. That's what you're here for. And obviously, this guy has some trauma, because right after that, he's like on the train tracks thinking about, yeah, maybe I'll end it.
Yeah, and there's something about that scene too that just like, obviously if he dies right there, the movie doesn't happen. So it's not going to happen, but it's still really tense. Like, I think because you expect it to be a Hollywood movie where, okay, car won't start. He gets it last minute and he's gone. He gets hit though, like not killed, but he barely gets out of there and does get hit and destroy the car.
Yeah, it makes you. I think that's like his like come to Jesus kind of moment where he's like, all right, maybe I will go try this, and that's kind of what sends him down there, because he's like, I can't do this. Like she's kind of right. Like this is insane. I can't do this forever. I need a steady job, and maybe I'll take my skills and use them for good. And the things I've learned through life, like because he clearly used to be. That's one thing about him, is he's not like a philosophizer, which I keep saying that. I'm just taking that from the Dodgeball, but for somebody jumps in the comments and says it's philosopher, I know, but we like to honor White Goodman here on the channel. And Globo Jim.
Yes, we pay our respects. Okay.
We're not average Joes here. Like these bodies cost money.
That's right. But yeah, no, that's what I mean. It's obviously a retelling, but say a lot of it's similar. He comes in at first and kind of just surveys the situation. He doesn't fight everyone. He is helping the younger bouncer figure things out. And, he even has that moment with he's like, listen, that one guy on the right has a knife. As soon as he pulls it out, take a step back, hit him in the face. Kid goes, does that, pulls it off perfectly.
He's like surprised at himself. He's like, oh, I did it.
Yeah. He's like, oh my God, I can do this, So he has those moments, and even kind of, I guess, sort of in the vein of like Patrick Swayze didn't want to kill anyone, but then he had to kill that guy. But in the original, he rips his throat out. In this one, Jake Gyllenhaal doesn't want to kill the guy. I think Dell is his name, but he throws him in the water and the freaking alligator eats him.
Yeah, I actually love the joke. That's one thing that's really funny in the movie, when he's just like, before we start, do you guys have good medical? And then he's like, they're all like, whatever. Then he beats the shit out of all four of them and then drives them to the hospital. And then one guy's great throughout the movie. Like he's like happy to see him.
Yeah. Like I think, dude, that was they're in the car and it's so funny because the music playing and he's like, bump. And at first you don't know what it is. And then the car rocks and everyone's like, oh, ow, oh. And then when the boss is getting shaved on the boat and he's like, so what's about this guy? And the guy that you're talking about, he's like, he's super nice. He comes in really smiling. He's a good fighter, but overall seems like a good guy. And he's like, oh, great description.
That guy is another one. Like he clearly watched the original. Like I gotta do that over the top, because it makes, again, he's getting his beard cut on the waters of Florida with like a straight knife. Like again, like I feel like that's kind of a callback to the westerns, because that's something only in the old westerns. The guy's just getting his face cut but this guy's on a fucking boat and he's getting mad at the guy cutting his hair. It's like,
Yeah. And then after the
don't do
third
it.
cut, he goes up. He's like, "Where's the captain?" He's like, "Captain," and then just knocks him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of that funny stuff. I think the thing though, like, like I said, and I don't know the timeline on it, but the original I feel like was heavily inspired by westerns and like kung fu karate movies. This one felt like it was John Wick.
Well,
Like,
oh, the action scenes especially.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is like over the top. Some of them though, again, like, and I know it's like beating a dead horse when we talk about this, but like the scene where Dell comes and tries to run him over on the bridge, it's intense the way it's shot, but you can tell it's fake. Like you can see that it's CGI, and like that kind of takes me out of it. And there's a couple other like even punches and fights where like Jake Gyllenhaal hits a guy, and you can tell that it had like some CGI work done on it after that just kind of pulls you out of it a little bit.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's where this movie kind of feels like a movie made for Amazon. Like the director was upset they didn't put it in theaters, but when you watch the whole movie, the cinematography has that like overexposure around the lights where it's like you can tell like it just looks artificial. Where the original one, there's no artificiality to it. It looks like they're inside a real building because they are. Like in this one, it looks like they're on sets. A lot of times it looks like they're in Florida, which is pretty cool, but it just feels artificial, the movie.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what pulls me out of it. The rest of it, follows the same suit. I mean, obviously different motivations. In the original, the boss is just mad because he's not getting his cut. In this one, there's a whole mastermind plot to basically take over the island and be complete owner. Like from what I understand, it's more like a realtor scam kind of thing, right? Like he
Yeah,
builds
the
that land.
Roadhouse is successful in this movie. Like it's not like a business that needs to be turned around. No, they just want to keep the business.
Yeah, so I feel like, subtle changes, but overall everything's the same. We do get coked out Conor McGregor,
Oh
who's
my god.
out of his mind, like just absolutely insane in this movie.
Clearly he can't act, so all he did was just smile and like just walk around naked and like just do what he can do. And because like he just shows up like halfway through the movie and is like on a beaten path. Like he's the most ridiculous thing because he just like almost like just starts walking to where he's going and leaves a path of destruction in his background before he gets there.
Yeah, he's like a Terminator. He just showed
Yeah.
up and just kept going.
Yeah, like he's got his mindset on one thing. Like we don't really see him. He's just like walking to where the fuck he's going at that point. He's literally naked, and like we just get a quick cut, and everything's on fire behind him. He's just still on the phone.
Yep. Yeah, no, he's insane in this movie. I mean, it's good. Like you said, for this kind of film, overacting kind of pays off. I think it pays dividends. But again, so much of and listen, I understand a lot of the scenes you're not gonna actually crash boats the way that they do. You're not gonna, all that stuff is gonna be expensive. You're gonna do that all in post with CGI and everything. But there's little moments. I just keep going back to like one punch in particular in a fight that Jake Gyllenhaal hit a guy, and you can tell that like it was sped up or something, so his fist moved too fast, and it was like a Power Ranger punch. And it's little edits and little CGI moments like that like you said, it just kind of makes it artificial and takes you out. For a moment, you're like, oh, this is a cool bar. Oh, these fights seem real. And then that happens, or that truck scene happens, or all those kind of CGI moments happen. And it just makes you like, all right, it's a movie. Where the original, of course, it's a movie, but everything's on an actual set. Everything is really there when they're fighting. They're actually not actually, of course, they're not really beating the hell out of each other, but the punches are being thrown and sound is being added, but they're not editing fists to look faster,
No, exactly. It's all done for the reality of it all, essentially, to try and make it like, yeah, it's a reality, like an alternate reality almost, but you can kind of believe it as long as you can turn your mind off a little bit. But this one is like trying to be real, and then things happen. You're like, that's just insane. Like that's too hard to believe. Again, like the cops aren't around in this movie, but this guy's a former UFC fighter. Some people seem to recognize him, but when they show him at UFC, it's like he would have been recognizable to a lot of people, you would think, because he was at literally one of those press conferences.
Yeah, and they even
and he killed a guy.
in his dream sequence of killing someone, they announced that he's fighting for the middleweight title. Like, so he's fighting in a championship fight, which I'm assuming typically in the UFC pay-per-views, the main event is the title fight. So he also fought enough to earn a title shot and then was on the main event of a major pay-per-view card and then killed a guy on that card. I feel like you'd be very well known all over the world for doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Not just floating around, driving your car like, yeah, just coming from my past. It was pretty dark. It's like, yeah, I know your past was pretty dark because I know who the fuck you are.
Yeah, I guess they did that because I mean UFC was like it's been blowing up for a long time, but I feel like when they were shooting this, it kind of peaked, and it's still in its peak. I mean, people love that
Like
UFC, but
TKO, that's them and WWE now, and
yeah,
clearly they're like on the same page because ESPN now will be their overlap. So they're
yeah,
like
it's
they're on
just
the same exact pedestal, I'd say now.
yeah, it's funny. I think about Family Guy. There's just a passing joke in one of the episodes where like a radio host is talking about some sort of TV station, and they're like, "Oh, this is such and such a station, soon to be bought out by Netflix, which will be bought out by Disney, which will be bought out by Pornhub." And I'm kind of like, dude, we're almost there. Like Disney already owns everything. So at this point, Disney needs to buy Netflix, and then Pornhub just buys them and owns the world.
People don't even realize what Disney owns anymore. It's crazy to me. Like Disney owns ESPN, so now WWE has a connection with UFC and Disney of all things. Like I saw something with the Disney Plus logo in the corner, and it's a movie you've seen before. The house that Jake built, I believe
Mhm.
it's called, like with the Disney Plus logo. Like that's where we've come. That kid friendly brand now represents that movie of
Yep.
all movies.
Yeah, it's insane. They own everything, and it's only a matter of time before one of them buys all of it. But I think that like kind of goes into why I think the remake misses a lot of the mark because, like you said, it was made for Amazon, and I think a lot of times now when a movie is made for directly to a streaming service, it's really not. It's not like I don't want to sound like a douche, but it's not like as artistic as it used to be. It's very artificial and very like, we just want to get this out because we need more subscribers and this title will get people to subscribe. This title will get people to rent. Like, we just want the money. So let's go. They'll get any Joe Schmo to direct it. They try to get at least one big name actor, if not a handful. They throw as much money as this just to get it out there so that people will subscribe to their service where like, clearly the person who wrote and directed the original had a vision for this and was paying homage to stuff that they love. And I think that's the big difference. Like, Tarantino, love him or hate him, he is insanely inspired by Western.
Oh
And
yeah.
he doesn't hide that, but it's that passion and that love for it and the respect for it that make his films great. And I think that's what the original had. It had that passion behind it. Someone really appreciated those old Westerns and wanted to make a modern version of it.
100%. I do think that Jake Gyllenhaal, despite him, I don't think giving as much of a great performance as Patrick Swayze does. He does give a good performance for what this character is. I hate that they still have to do the classic remake trope of like, oh, they didn't tell you his first name in the original, so we'll make sure you let everyone know right away that his first name's Elwood in this.
Yeah, that is kind of and that confused me too because everyone's like, "Oh, Dalton, you're Dalton," and then the one guy goes, "Hey, you're Elwood Dalton," and I was like, "Elwood? Is that like a name? Is that his nickname or like his UFC fighter nickname? Because that's a weird one." But
Yeah,
no, it's a first name.
yeah, I guess they would have to have a first and last name because of the UFC fighter thing. And this movie also made me really want to try Cuban coffee. So I don't know if that's like something I have to go down there for, but I'm interested.
Yeah, that was funny when he was like, "Can I get black coffee?" She's like, "No, we just have cute." And then he even says like, "Yikes, I really
Yeah.
like that."
Yeah, you think it's going to be too, which is that's a nice little callback to the original because he's always drinking black coffee and they're like, let it unleaded, of course, because this rundown bar. But this one's clearly like a modern bar. Like, not everything's as rough. Everyone seems like kind of mellow, chill, like 2020s kind of people. That
Yeah.
one's very much the 1980s where I don't see like, going out, let's go down to the Double Deuce and people are just getting in a fucking war while you're drinking there.
Yeah, I feel like it's Russian roulette. Like even if you don't plan on fighting, it seems like people just kind of get drunk enough to turn around and punch the guy next to them. So it's really it's luck of the draw going down there.
Yeah, I guess that's the Western trope. It's like, oh, that guy bumped into me and knocked my beer over. You shouldn't be playing a game. I mean, the guy's a piece of shit in the first one anyway, letting the guys touch his girl's tits. Like, you know, you can kiss him for $10 a tit, and he's like just feeling them. It's like, what kind of man are you anyway? You getting upset now?
Yeah, and then they're all terrible in that, and it's funny too because actually there's the one scene where Patrick Swayze in the original finally goes to his mansion and sees the wife with the black eye, and my wife was there, and I was like, "Uh-oh, you do not hit a woman around Patrick Swayze."
He's not going to take that well.
Yeah, he does not allow any mistreatment of the female sex, so do not do that around him.
No, and that's how that all ends. And then, they end very similar. But funny enough, this Roadhouse will get a Roadhouse too. They're making it now.
Really?
Yeah. I guess it was free, and that's that Amazon money behind it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I didn't mind the remake. Like you said, I think Jake Gyllenhaal plays it really well. In the original, Patrick Swayze's not as comical. He's much more serious. He's lighthearted still, but in this, I think in this remake, Jake Gyllenhaal played it a little more comically. Like you said in the beginning, he's like, I just want to make sure you got insurance, like, dental and stuff. Like, I just want to make sure you're covered. And, like same thing, like in the original, Patrick Swayze doesn't want to kill anyone. He just wants them to leave. So he's not trying to maim anybody. But in the remake, he doesn't make it very clear in the original. In the remake, Jake Gyllenhaal makes it 100% crystal clear. Like, I just want to make sure when I'm done kicking your ass, I will make sure you get medical treatment.
Yeah, I don't want to actually have to kill you. Like, the people who have to die, they'll die because they just don't stop. But if you stop, I'll help you out.
Yeah. Yeah, which I think is, there were a couple decisions I liked more, like the heavyset guy. I can't remember his name. I feel like they called him Tigger or something in the one who got crushed by the polar bear.
Yeah, he's great.
He's great, and I feel like his counterpart is the other guy. Was his name Christian, the one who loves Jake Gyllenhaal for some reason in the remake?
Yeah, I love that. I'm telling you, that was a great running joke throughout. How he's just happy to see him. Like, even one time, he's just like, "Oh, hey, Dalton," and just keeps walking.
Yeah, like I think that like change in character, because I think they're supposed to be the same character because they're both kind of the comedic relief of the bad guys. I actually kind of prefer the remake one because I think he's so funny with how he handles it. Like he seems like genuinely such a nice guy who just like accidentally became friends with these bad people.
Yeah, I agree. In the first one, he's kind of like that too, but it's also in the trope of the sense like, oh, look, it's the funny fat guy.
Yeah, this one's a little bit more like he's just kind of like a numbskull. He doesn't know any better. It's like a nice guy who's trying to do, even in the first fight, he like watches all his friends like go down and he's like, damn it. And like runs to try to hit Jake Gyllenhaal. Like he just clearly doesn't want to be there. And it's just funny throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, he's a lot like the guy in Tombstone, like who's like a part of the gang, but he likes art and everything. But this one, he's just kind of like an idiot who kind of like stumbled in there. He's like, well, they're my friends. Like I always hung out with them, but it's like you're nothing like them.
Yeah. I think that was a good call. And like I said, even slightly changing it, I think Jake Gyllenhaal's take on it was good for a remake. Because again, the question that I always propose on these, is it better to just shot for shot remake something in a new setting, or is it better to put your own twist and do a little bit of a reimagining? And I think this one did just enough of a reimagining to pay its respects and give the newer generation their own version.
I agree, and that's the thing. This is one of the rare ones, not like Point Break, where one's really good and the other one's really bad, or as you kind of like thought, I like the original, but the remake is awful. I think this one is a case where the original one is just a really good, fun movie. Like you can always run back to, like I always do. And the remake is a good movie on its own merits. It's still pretty decent because of what you said. They actually just tried to, reimagine it. It's still called Roadhouse, but they paying homage. But it's actually interesting enough. I watched them in the same day. I didn't feel bored like watching the same movie again, just like in 2024 or whatever this movie, or 23 when it came out. No, I felt like I was watching a different enough movie that I can get invested.
Yeah, and I think that's the key here. Like, obviously, we have to pick a winner, but in the grand scheme of things, these are both movies that I would go back to. I would have no problem if someone said, "Hey, you want to watch Roadhouse?" and I said, "Which one?" I wouldn't even have to ask that question. If someone, like, if I was hanging out with you and said, "You want to watch Roadhouse?" I'd just say, "Sure." And if you put the original or the remake on, I wouldn't be like, "Oh, you meant this one." I would be able to sit through either one of them and enjoy it. They're both good movies. Obviously we'll pick a winner between the two, but I just want to say that beforehand. Like, I actually don't really have that much, aside from kind of the CGI moments and the glossing, the Hollywood lipstick that gets put on the remake. I don't have a lot of negative stuff to say about either one of them.
No, either do I. It's actually surprising. It's one of the times I agree almost like with all your negatives. I have the same exact negatives. It's just like, those fight scenes, it's just too CGI, but that's modern filmmaking in a nutshell. So those are the kind of flaws that I have. But I do think since we do have to pick a winner, I would still pick the original as the winner, just because it's, for me, it's a personal favorite. It's Patrick Swayze. There's a lot of stuff in there that checks a lot of personal boxes for me. But I also wouldn't be upset if people like the remake more, because maybe they're younger and they appreciate like the modern filmmaking, and they're like, hey, Jake Gyllenhaal's great. I'm not understanding what the Swayze Express is all about.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think this one will be a win for the original again. Not, I mean, again, I guess by a lot, but not by a landslide. It's just one of those things that it's a classic film. I think I just it might just be personal flavor. Again, not a lot of negatives to say about the remake. It's a little too polished with all the CGI stuff, and I feel like I'm beating a dead horse with that. But I just like the original. I enjoy Patrick Swayze and Sam Elliott in it. I think everyone else, all the supporting cast is great. The Doctor is great in the remake too, but in the original, she plays the role great. I love all his new bouncers in the original bouncers that he trains up. I think they all play their roles great. So I do think I would pick the original, but again, that's not a knock against the remake. I have nothing against the remake that would make me say don't watch it. If you're in the mood, either one of these movies is really good.
Yeah, so I think we land on kind of the same page, where the original will win this one, and that'll take our score to 5 for the original, 2 for the remake. Just to call out the poll for last time from our viewers, 85% as of right now for 1991, over 15% for the 62 version, which I guess I'm not too surprised. 1962 version is probably not the most well known. I bet a lot of people actually watched that and thought the same thing, as like, oh, I didn't even realize that had an original anyway. So it was pretty good, and glad that people like that one as well.
Yeah, no, I obviously it's looking like a little bit of a landslide for the remake on that one. But to be fair, like you said, when we jumped into it, I didn't know there was an original. I thought the De Niro Scorsese one was Cape Fear. I did not know there was an older version. So I think that plays a role big time in the selection process. But I guess we'll see what the next one brings. Right now, it's original is kind of landslide taking every one of these, except for obviously 2. But I don't know how many more are going to make the win.
Yeah, and I mean, this is our last one. Actually, when will this come out? This will come out next week, which will be already into September. But we're kind of coming in the spooky season. But this is a nice one to transition from summer to fall.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think it was, and that's another reason why we put it on the poll, because it has that summer feel. So I think that's great. And then once spooky season comes, I feel like it's going to be a lot more scary movies, which I think the horror community is a little bit more strong on their opinions of films. So we have to be a little careful with what we say about some of those.
But there's a lot of original versus remakes when it comes to horror, that, like, people like the remakes a lot. So that's an interesting one. Honestly, when I think of original versus remake, just because they keep remaking horror films, those are the ones that pop in my head first. Like Roadhouse and Point Breaker, they kind of feel random to me.
Yeah, it does feel random. I guess it's weird because it feels like horror is kind of that genre that just gets remade constant, and it gets remade every 10 years. Some of these movies get remade 30, 40 years later, but horror, it's like, we just remade Hellraiser. Let's do it again in 5 years because we didn't like that one. Or like it's Texas Chainsaw has how many reimaginings?
Oh my God. I can't
brutal.
even. We honestly, that's one when we do Texas Chainsaw, we could have like a fatal 4-way because there's so many.
Yeah, like I don't even know what do you call a remake? What do you call a reimagining? What is a sequel to an old one? It's just, it gets so messy. So the straightforward remakes get a little difficult, but horror, I think spooky season will have a lot to choose from, because horror definitely is Hollywood's favorite genre to remake.
Yeah, and I think that comes down to money. Honestly, I think it's a lot cheaper to remake a horror film. You don't got to get a Jake Gyllenhaal to be in the lead. You could just get anyone, because what sells a horror film is just the name of the horror film. Oh, Halloween's coming out. A lot of us, including I'm a sheep for this too. Like I get excited, even though I've gotten burned before with like Halloween ends. I'll be like, Halloween, all right.
Yeah, there's definitely certain titles. I mean, even you said it with Jurassic Park. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, another Jurassic Park. Like, I know the last 6 in a row have been terrible, but it's Jurassic Park. Maybe this one will change it, and that's horror. I mean, listen, the one that I think everyone's waiting for is the 13th entry in Friday the 13th.
I still can't believe we haven't gotten that. How did we stop 15 years ago? Like, just like, we're done. Like, it's like you guys had one come out all the time. It's crazy. Like, that's a money-making franchise and just greed. Like, literally, like, it's like, no, I want it. I want it. It's like, okay, well, no one gets it then.
Yeah. But that's one, again, if it comes out, everyone will go. No one's going to care who's in it because
No.
they just want to see Jason.
Yep, they don't even really care. That's the reason why people know Kane Hodler, because he's under the mask of Jason. That's it. It's otherwise Jason sells it.
Yep. Yeah, but we'll see. I mean, I'm excited for spooky season to come and see if we can get some. Because again, this is another one. Original took the cake, and we need some remakes to step up to the plate.
Yeah, cake is delicious though, so that's pretty awesome. But anyway, guys, that'll do it. So our brings our score now 5 for the original, 2 for the remake. We'll put a poll out probably for the next one. We're coming to the spooky season, so we don't have anything to announce for our next episode yet. But make sure you guys are watching our other show. Was it great, or were you 8 as well, that we do, every alternate week to this one. So we'll be seeing you guys next Thursday.